It's the home of the original Big Pie, and it doesn't get any better than Moe's Pizza. 1112 Avenue H in West Wego. I come here all the time, and that's why. Are you kidding me? Are you hungry? You will be after you watch that. I promise you, it doesn't get any better than Moe's. Thanks to Jeff Arsman crew for having us here for this edition of sportsNOLAtv here on WHNO. And a pleasant good evening to you, Ken Trahan. And we know we have a lot to talk about because the New Orleans Saints are 1-0, LSU's 2-0, and then there's Tulane. And we'll get into all three and prep and our prep player of the week coming up. And we'll do so with our outstanding analysts, including former New Orleans Saint, 10-year NFL wide receiver, Torrance Small. Torrance, good evening to you.
Good evening, Ken. Glad to be back. Hey, do your job. I guess that's what the Saints did this weekend, huh?
Yeah, it came to life. No longer a picture on a wall. He was there, and he conquered, and he's undefeated, and it's good. Brian Alley Walsh of sportsNOLA.com knows all about that. Brian, good evening to you.
Kenny, always a pleasure to be here. And speaking of Mo, I'm glad to be with the three stooges, Mo, Larry, and Curly.
I don't know if I can top that. I'll tell you what. You know, see this? See this? Pro Football Hall of Famer Ricky Jackson, number 57, didn't get any better than he was on the field, and he's just as good a man off the field. Ricky, good evening to you.
Man, good evening. I tell you what, always great to have your great coach back. Made a big difference yesterday.
I couldn't agree more, and we'll get into that and talk about the Saints' victory and how they were able to subdue the Falcons in a thrilling game in just a moment. We'll also get into LSU's victory, show you highlights, Tulane's loss with highlights, and prep sports, and much, much more from Moe's Pizza, 1112 in West Wego on Avenue H. It's where everybody comes for the best pie on the Westbank and the metropolitan area. Back in just a moment here on sportsNOLAtv on WHNO Channel 20. Can there be any better indicator of success, winning and losing? I don't think so. 31 straight victories when the Saints hold an opponent to 17 points or less under Sean Payton since 2007. They did it Sunday. They won. Ken Trahan, sportsNOLAtv, Moe's Pizza, Avenue H in West Wego. Let's talk about the victory. Okay, Brian, as you take a look at why they won this football game, there are so many different reasons that we could point to. In your estimation, what's the number one reason that they won this game?
That's a very good question. I got to think about that for 1 second. I would say, out of everything, all right, the difference to me was Sean Payton on one sideline and Mike Smith on the other. Mm-hmm. And the reason I say that is because, and we said this last week, you give me number 9 over number 2, okay, and you give me Sean Payton over Mike Smith when it comes down to crunch time. And I think that was the difference. When it comes down to scoring points, putting the ball in the end zone, nobody does it better from a play selection calling standpoint than Sean Payton.
Torrance, one thing that you look at in this game is balance. Atlanta only ran the ball 14 times. The Saints ran the ball 29 times. And while they didn't gain a lot of yardage, they controlled time of possession, kept Atlanta off the field offensively, and I thought that was a big part of not only the strategy, but succeeding with the strategy in this game.
Yes, one thing the Saints wanted to do this year is improving their running game. Now, although they ran the ball 29 times, it wasn't effective because we only averaged about 2 yards per carry. They only gained 87 yards, if I'm not mistaken. But the one thing that they did, they kept the ball. Not only that, they converted on third downs. That's why they kept the ball more so than anything, gave them more opportunities to run the ball and to keep Atlanta offense off the field.
Ricky, you're a defensive guy. This Saints defense looked like a pretty good defense. They held Atlanta to what, 357 total, 17 points, got 3 sacks, had a lot of other pressure, stopped the run except for the one big run by Jackson. This was a pretty good defense yesterday.
Yeah, I tell you what, you have to give credit to the guys in the front office, Mickey Loom and them. They brought a lot of guys in that a lot of people don't know about, and all those guys are young and hungry. I mean, you know, expectation over there is real high. That, you know, a lot of people don't know about these guys, but they're hard workers.
Brian, as you look at why they won this game, and we talked about your biggest reason, but there were several other reasons.
Yeah.
We talked about the balance. Ricky talked about the defense. From an offensive perspective, as usual, Drew Brees spread the wealth, got contributions from a lot of guys.
Absolutely, and I take exception to the ineffective running game, T, because this, and I don't think you have to have a Steven Jackson type runner for an offense to be effective, successful. These guys do a good job of moving the chains, keeping the time of possession. Who cares if you get 85 yards or 155 yards if you lose 155 yards? I thought that they did a great job of staying with running the football yesterday, keeping that defense honest, and then letting Drew Brees do what he does, and that's spread the ball around like Kenny alluded to.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
I said on third downs, the key to them running the ball and being able to run the ball and be effective the way
But
they were.
even first down,
Hold on, let me finish.
first down and getting 5 yards.
Let me
okay?
finish.
Okay.
Let me finish.
Yes, sir.
Because they only averaged 29 carries, 87 yards. That's only 2.5 yards a
2.7,
carry.
yeah.
Yes, that's all they gained. It wasn't that effective, but it worked. It kept them balanced. What made the difference was converting on third down. That's what made the difference. That's why they kept the ball. Not so much they ran the ball, and had to get 100 yards. I'm not saying that. I said it wasn't effective because they didn't gain a lot of yards with it. But it did work for keeping the team balanced.
Yeah.
That's
You know what's pretty interesting, Ricky, is Drew Brees was 26 of 35. That's 74% completions. Threw for a ton of yards, 2 touchdowns, and yet he can play better. He missed some open receivers. He threw some balls a little low that were caught. And I guess the standard is so high here, we expect him to complete every pass.
Well, I mean, it's the first game too, and I mean, he didn't get a whole lot of snaps in, preseason. So a lot of those guys running just like Coastal. You know what I mean? He haven't played in the preseason with those guys. I mean, that's Coastal's first game of really getting out there. So, he got to get used to those guys all over. I mean, even though he's a great quarterback, it still take a lot of reps to get used to those guys.
All right, Brian, if you want to pick on one thing I definitely would pick on would be clock management and how both of these teams handled their timeouts when the game was on the line. When the Saints had 4th and 2 and decided they were going to try to draw the Falcons offside, why in the world would you waste a timeout there? Take the 5-yard penalty. It's still a chip shot, easy field goal for Garrett Hartley. That's a timeout that you really could have used when you wouldn't have gotten the ball back. And they would have gotten it back had Atlanta scored on that last drive. And instead of having 1 timeout left, they had 2. And oh, by the way, they would have had those timeouts because Atlanta burned 2 timeouts on that drive that they didn't have to burn because all they needed to do was let that clock run down. I thought it was poor clock management all around.
Yeah, I wonder, Sean Payton alluded to that in the preseason about how he was a little rusty in calling a game. And you just wonder. They obviously were not on the same page on that 4th down play that you're talking about, Kenny. I think, they wanted some extra time to perhaps think about it. And I thought they made the right move to go ahead and kick the field goal.
Why would Atlanta call 2 timeouts on that last drive when unquestionably what they want to do is run the clock down and leave nothing left on the clock and score the winning touchdown?
Well, if you look over the years playing against Atlanta, coming towards the end when the games are tight, they have been making some bad calls. And that's something they need to clean up, and clock management is one of them.
Ricky, I mentioned on the decisive play, Vaccaro, and he's a player, and he's going to be a player, makes a big play. But what was kind of lost in translation was Lofton's pressure, grabbing Ryan and pulling on him as he threw the ball, which kind of made him throw the ball inaccurately.
And coming from the inside, too. I mean, they wasn't looking for that. They looking for him to be back there in coverage and stuff. But the rookie made a great play just to get his hand on the ball because he was going to catch that ball if he don't deflect that ball a little bit. So that was a great play.
Ricky, we've been talking about safeties and not making plays for years where the Saints are concerned. And in this game, Vaccaro gets the big tip. Jenkins forces a fumble, Harper recovers a fumble and gets an interception. That's what you are looking for out of your safeties, to be playmakers.
Yeah, and I mean, they got some great young guys. They got a lot of talent, a lot of speed, and Jenkins a lot faster than what people anticipate. So he made a lot of great plays yesterday. Saved that touchdown just like he did in the other game. They had to get 3 points from that. So a lot of things these safeties are doing is making plays that really helping the Saints win ball games.
Players make plays. Coaches put them in positions to make plays. And Rob Ryan did that yesterday on the 4th down interception. Ricky, remember, they bracketed Julio Jones on the outside. They bracketed Tony Gonzalez on the inside. And it was supposed to be the same play that Jones scored on earlier in the game. over the middle of the end zone. They bracketed, they put 7 guys in coverage. They only rushed 4. See, I think Greg Williams might have rushed 7 on that play, you know. But Rob does a great job of mixing pressure and dropping back in coverage, and that kind of fooled him, I think.
And trying to confuse them, Torrance, with that amoeba defense, with everybody standing up and maybe 2 guys. And, you know, as a quarterback, you're trying to decipher and figure out where it's coming from, who the hot receiver is, and it's not easy to do that.
Exactly. Right now, a lot of teams don't have any film on the Saints. They have to go back and look at the Cowboys film to see what type of defense the Saints are going to run. This is a new scheme, and we talked about the scheme is going to help out this defense a lot this year. And I think that's something that Rob Ryan brings. I think also what he's bringing unity, because one thing this defense did yesterday, although it wasn't nobody a superstar that stood out, but they did it collectively. Everybody chipped in, everybody did their job.
Yeah, they certainly did. And listen, if you're going to win the game, you need contributions from all aspects of the football team. Ricky, you and I were talking beforehand. A lot of people want to bang on Mark Ingram, and I get it. I don't think it was a good trade. I don't think it was worth it. I think he can play in the NFL, but you look at the system, and you were talking about the fact that maybe he doesn't fit in this system with what the Saints do.
Well, I mean, you know, he's going to be a great young player. I mean, you know, a lot of people, they complain about Reggie Bush. You see what he did yesterday. So, you know what I mean, he got a lot of years left. He's young. He's strong. He can run the ball. But, you know, when he got in the ball game yesterday, it wasn't a whole lot for him. You know what I mean, he tried to make something happen, but sometimes you get in the ball game, man, it just don't be your day. And every time he got in was a lot of penetration, you know, and then he got frustrated, you know.
Kudos to the Saints for honoring Steve Gleason and Jerry Romey before the game. Back with more on sportsNOLAtv in just a moment. Our sportsNOLA.com trivia question of the evening is a good one. One of our panelists would know the answer to this question. On Thursday, Wes Welker became the 4th player to catch a pass from both Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. Who are the other 3? Think about it. That's a tough question. 3 others have caught passes from Tom Brady and Peyton Manning other than Wes Welker. And we want you to think about it hard and come back later, and we'll have an answer for you. And I know you'll enjoy the answer too. And one of our guys is smiling from ear to ear. sportsNOLAtv continues from Moe's Pizza, Avenue H in West Wego. Ken Trahan with you. So glad you joined us. The first week of the NFL season was an intriguing week. It had some bad performances. It had some good performances. It had some great games and some bad games. Let's take a look at NFL results from week number 1. Of course, the early game this week, the Thursday night game, the Broncos with Peyton Manning throwing 7 touchdown passes, demolished the Ravens. Patriots score late to beat the Bills. Seahawks in a defensive slugfest win at Carolina. The Bears score late and beat the Bengals. Dolphins solid over the Browns. How about Detroit? Reggie Bush played well, beat the Vikings. The Colts had to come from behind to beat the Raiders. The Chiefs over the hapless Jaguars. How bad are they? Then you take a look at Tampa Bay. Personal foul penalty killed them. Jets kick a field goal and beat them. The Steelers gone the wrong way, folks. Titans got them. 49ers outlasted the Packers in a very good game. Ditto the Rams over the Cardinals in a good one. Giants 6 turnovers, and they still almost won but lost by 4 at Dallas. The Redskins and Eagles just underway. Early Monday night game. Later on tonight, the Texans and the Chargers on the West Coast. As we look at those results, let's talk about what impressed, what didn't impress. Brian, what got your attention more than anything else about those results?
2 things was how the Jets ended up winning with Geno Smith. David Levant, I think the guy's name is, made just a bonehead, critical late hit, gave him a good first down position. They ended up kicking the game-winning field goal. But the AFC North, gentlemen, 0-4, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and Cleveland all lost on opening weekend. And 2 of those clubs, look, I'll tell you what, Mike Tomlin, he keeps this up, Kenny and guys, he's in trouble, regardless of.
Could we be talking about a return of Bill Cowher?
Oh, you know what? Wouldn't that be something? But
Yeah.
you know what? He's going to have to pick it up, and the Steelers are in trouble.
Torrance, what did you like?
I think the Steelers, they kind of stick with their coaches. They'll make some changes with their players and all, but they'll pretty much keep their coaches.
Yeah.
The one game I think that surprised me, I wouldn't say surprised me, but I was happy to see Colin Kaepernick. He had a great game against Green Bay, threw for 400 and some yards. Here's a guy they were kind of questioning, can he throw the ball? I think he did great. And Bolden was a big addition to them. I know the Ravens are kicking themselves right now today. Why would they get rid of this guy? Ricky knows this guy. It's one of his hometown guys. Great receiver, making big plays at the right time. He's still doing those things he always done in his career. He's going to be great for the 49ers.
Yeah, one brother gave his brother an early Christmas present, right? John to Jim Harbaugh with Bolden. Yeah. Ricky,
Yes.
What was impressive to you about the first week of the NFL?
I mean, more of the Saints, a lot of people pick Atlanta to win the division, and the Saints came out and really out-physical them, outplayed them, butt them in the mouth, and they wasn't ready for the Saints. And a lot of people were picking Atlanta to win the Super Bowl, picking them to be 14-2, 13-3, but the Saints just came out and showed you, man, that a good, tough, physical team will beat a finesse team any day.
And I'll talk about the Detroit Lions. I thought that was a very impressive win over the Vikings. Adrian Peterson had one long touchdown run. He did nothing otherwise. The Lions defense played well despite some more dirty play by Ndamukong Suh. Reggie Bush was really good. Stafford is back and playing well. That was a very impressive win for them. Let's take a look at the NFC South, and things are going to look good through 1 week, gentlemen, as the Saints are all alone in first place of the NFC South, and they go to Tampa Bay this week, which means if they can win that game, they'll have early control of the division and, Brian, really have a chance to get out to a fast start, perhaps 4-0.
Yeah, we haven't seen that, since 2011, huh? The last time we had the Saints in sole possession of first place. A big win on Sunday, and another, if they can top it with a win in Tampa Bay, they're rolling. Good.
Yeah, Carolina and Tampa Bay both lost excruciatingly tough games.
Yes, understand, we're going to have to go and beat both of these teams, Carolina and Tampa. But Tampa, I think the key to beating them is make Freeman beat us. Don't let the little guy beat us. I can't think of his name right now. The little running back.
Martin.
Yeah, Martin. Don't let Doug Martin beat us, but make Freeman beat us. And I don't think he's ready this year. I don't think he's going to have a great season. And I think he'll be the reason that Tampa don't have a pretty good season this year.
Cam Newton's better than Josh Freeman, Ricky. If you look at Carolina and you look at Tampa Bay, I give the edge to Carolina. Their defense pretty good, and Newton can play.
Well, defense is good, but Newton made a lot of bad throws. I mean, he getting the ball so high, and I don't know where that come from, but it started at the end of last year. He just overthrowing the receivers, and I mean, you can see the frustration on the receivers a little bit because those guys are wide open, and he missed a lot of targets. They had Drew Brees there to have a cakewalk.
Let's take a look at the Saints' schedule and the upcoming games that New Orleans has. And as I mentioned, the Saints have a real chance to get off to a very good start with this schedule because they've got Tampa Bay. It's on the road. That's tough, but a winnable game. And then Arizona and Miami at home. And I know Miami won, but the Saints at home will be favored, Brian, in both of those games. So that's why this game becomes a key game. I really think that if they win at Tampa Bay, they'll be 4-0 going to Soldier Field.
Yeah, the schedule favors the Saints now that they got over this first hurdle. You guys made a great point, I thought. You know what, now that the teams, opponents have more tape of the Saints and their defense, they're going to attack it a little bit differently. That's why you like Sean Payton in a season opening game. I just like what he does and his players do. They get ready.
Yes, they definitely. Yeah, Sean Payton is going to make all the difference. All the difference. Bringing in Rob Ryan, I thought was a good move as well because he doesn't want to focus on defense as much. And he has a guy that can run that defense while he works the offense.
Ricky, I know you're a big fan of Payton. Why is he so good? What makes him so good?
I mean, he let other guys do what they do best, and that's what you like about a coach. I mean, just like Coach Ryan, you come in, Coach Payton don't bother with these guys. You do the defense. I'm an offensive specialist. Do what you do best. All we want to do is win ball games, and you can see yesterday how at the end of the game when the Saints won, the defensive guys went and hugged Coach Ryan, the offensive guys hugged Coach Payton. It's like, everybody's in this together. You do what you do best, I do what I do best, and let's win ball games.
It's a more confident team. There's no doubt about it, and there's no question that confidence is exuded from its head coach, who, by the way, was very subdued after the game. I think he was kind of worn out, frankly, but it was a big win for the New Orleans Saints. When we return, our hot seat segment. Who's been more impressive so far? Who's had the better start, the Saints or LSU? Think about it. We'll talk about it here on sportsNOLAtv for Moe's Pizza in West Wego on WHNO. Our sportsNOLA.com trivia question of the evening is a doozy, whatever that means. On Thursday, Wes Welker became the fourth player to catch a pass from both Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. Who are the other three? One of our panelists knows this one very well, and it's not Brian Alley Walsh. Wes Welker, Jermaine Wiggins, Dan Klecko, and Torrance Small. I know the guy. The only players to catch a pass from the two legends.
So that's how you caught your 2 touchdowns.
Look, I told you before, I build Hall of Famers.
It's a heck of a deal. He's Torrance Small. He's got to claim the fame. And it's time for us to stake a claim to fame with our Hot Seat segment. And the Hot Seat is brought to you by Pride Services, Louisiana's AC and heating experts since 1984. Pride Services has been delivering quality service the first time. At Pride Services, we'll fix it right today. Get out of the hot seat and call Pride Services today. Thanks to Pride Services and our hot seat topic of the day. Which team has had the more impressive start? LSU or the New Orleans Saints? Brian Alley Walsh, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Trahan. To me, it's a no-brainer with the Saints opening the season against whom many picked to win the AFC or the NFC South and the Atlanta Falcons, a team that went out and acquired Steven Jackson in free agency. They paid $100 million to the quarterback, Matty Ryan. Okay, they did everything to position themselves to make a run at the Super Bowl. And what happens in week 1? Right out of the gate, on the road, the Saints upend them. And they did so convincingly, or impressively, I should say. No one is really, the Saints are flying under the radar, even though Sean Payton is back, even though they've got Drew Brees, they've got a rebuilt defense under Rex Ryan, and I thought, Rob Ryan, and I thought what they did was they gave him a good punch in the old kisser right out of week 1, and I thought that was as impressive a game, a win in NFL week 1. LSU, they're playing exhibition games right up until the start of the SEC schedule. So as far as I'm concerned, it was a no-brainer. The Saints winning week 1 is much more impressive.
I have to agree with the guy. In the old kisser, huh?
In the old kisser.
That's an old term right there. The old kisser. But again, I have to agree. I'm saying Saints. Have to be Saints. Here, we lost our coach. He's just coming back. New defensive coordinator. A lot of young guys on the team. A lot of uncertainty. What's going to happen? How things are going to turn out. I definitely have to give it to the Saints. LSU, I think you're playing some stat games right now. You have a few guys you can work a lot of different young players in and play. They're doing a hell of a job. I think they're doing a great thing. Macklin Bird is doing an excellent job down there. They're finally the office coordinator Cameron. He's doing a great job with Macklin Bird, letting him go, letting him play, using that talent that he has around him, not worrying about him making mistakes because he has a lot of talent around him. He can afford to make some mistakes there. They'll help him out. But the Saints, number 1 right now in their division, and I look forward to them doing more good work starting Sunday against Tampa Bay.
Well, I mean, I would go with the Saints too. They got one of the best coaches in football, and I mean, you can see the difference. Ever since last year, coach wasn't there, you can see the team was in a little disarray. This year, he's back. Everybody's calm and mild and collected. So now, you can see the Saints getting a chance to play football. As far as the LSU, they haven't played anybody yet, but they have a whole lot of talent. So a good chance to work on the stuff that they need to work on when they get to the SEC, like you said, to play the big boys. Well, LSU got a lot of talent up there, and a lot of guys, they don't want to go to Alabama. LSU next in line, but I would pick the Saints, just because the team that they played this week, supposed to beat them, supposed to be in the Super Bowl and all that, and the Saints came out and, like Brian say, hit them in the kisser and end up beating them.
You like that, huh?
Yeah, that's a good word.
If I'd have known you two guys were going to follow my lead, I would have taken LSU, okay? But, no, when you think of, as what we've said on this panel, is if you add everything up, Rex Ryan, Sean Payton coming back, Rob Ryan, I'll get that right. And
The smaller one.
Yes. I'm not sure.
Matt Ryan.
Rex is definitely. I'm not sure what Rob is eating, but whatever he's eating ought to stop. But you know, when you
can't say
look
that.
when you look at the defense that the Saints have had to go enter a season with, rebuilt, patchwork, guys like you mentioned earlier that they really weren't sure who was going to be available. Okay, I think they've done a really good job. We'll see though. We'll see.
Yeah, but not only that, LSU had to make some changes too, guys. They sent a lot of guys to the pros on defense, and they have a lot of young guys.
Eight guys off defense now.
Eight
you know.
guys, 8 starters on defense.
starters.
So that's impressive. But when you're talking about the hype of the game, Atlanta against the Saints, no brainer.
I'm time to render a judgment here. I'm really pleased, Torrance, that you gave LSU some love. Last time I checked, LSU was picked 13th in the nation in the preseason poll. They're now up to 8th. They were severely undervalued. They lost virtually every good defensive player they had to the NFL. They had a quarterback that everybody deemed to be below average by SEC standards. They had a running back who was suspended for their season opener. And by the way, TCU was not chopped liver. That's a good football team, a top 25 football team that LSU handled and handled easily. The Saints played a team in the Falcons that the Saints were favored over. That said, I still think the Saints were extremely impressive, and I still think they were the most impressive team based upon all the things that these gentlemen have said. But I think that LSU is a much better football team than anyone has given them credit for. I think that's a testament to coaching, to player development, most importantly to recruiting. When you recruit good players, you have a chance to develop talent. If you don't recruit good players, you're not going to develop talent from guys who can't play. So I think LSU, under Les Miles, has done an outstanding job of getting talent into the system, but now doing an even better job of developing it offensively. Who can say right now that Jarvis Landry or Odell Beckham were as good as they look right now last year? No way, no how. And as for Zach Mettenberger, he has been terrific. He is making top-shelf NFL throws on a consistent basis. He is making the right decisions. I don't care who you're playing against. Just look at the tape and look at the throws that he's made and look at the decisions. He hasn't turned the ball over. He's played great. And Jeremy Hill is back. And this offensive line has a chance to be very good ultimately. That's a really good football team. But the Saints, no doubt, they're in a position now to make a run. They've got their leader back, and man, does it make a difference. Couldn't agree more with the guys. We'll take a time out here. When we return, we'll take a look at LSU and Tulane highlights, plus our Prep Player of the Week, when we continue with sportsNOLAtv from Moe's Pizza in West Wego on WHNO Channel 20. We certainly like what we have at sportsNOLA.com. I believe you will too. That's sportsNOLA.com. Check it out to find out anything you want to know about the Saints, LSU, Tulane, Prep Sports, the Pelicans, anything you can possibly fathom. We've got it at sportsNOLA.com as it pertains to area sports and beyond. sportsNOLA TV continues from Moe's Pizza, Avenue H in West Wego. The pizza's great. The company's even better at Moe's. Come by and join us. Well, the LSU Tigers are now 2-0. They've ascended to number 8 in the nation in the most recent poll, following a 56-17 win over UAB, which our guys have basically termed a scrimmage. They were excited before the game. That's Zach Mettenberger, and he was celebrating, and why not? He continued the celebration on the field. Hey, that's a great throw. Right on the money for a touchdown, and that got his day started, and the floodgates open. Jeremy Hill was back, Brian, and this team is hitting on all cylinders. They're awfully good.
Well, I tell you what, you go in with all the other running backs they've got, and they're stout. And you hit the nail on the head with Mettenberger. Look at this pass. Jarvis Landry. NFL throw, NFL catch.
Yes.
You can't defend that.
No, that's just a great throw and catch. Great hands there and a perfect throw, Torrance.
One thing about these two young gentlemen they have here, and Beckham and Landry, look at these guys catch the ball with their hands. And that's what the NFL looking for, guys who catch the ball with their hand, and they make the tough catch, and they make big plays.
Beckham, great concentration on that one, Ricky, and another perfect throw, dropped it in the bucket.
I mean, the offensive line make the whole difference. And, you know, those guys so big up front, you can't get to the quarterback. They get them all day.
Now here's Beckham. Look at this.
Look at this
108 yards on this return. He sets a record here in the process in terms of all-purpose yards. He leads the nation in all-purpose yards for 2 weeks. 56-17, and of course Beckham is a Newman High School product, so we're very proud of one of our own doing so well. Of course, his dad played at LSU. Tigers get Kent State in another scrimmage Saturday at 6 p.m. where guys will get some playing time. So good stuff for the LSU Tigers. And as mentioned, they're now up to number 8 in the country as a result of the victory. I wish the news were better for Tulane, but it's not. The Green Wave favored at home against South Alabama, a newbie on the Division I scene, as it were, and Tulane just came out flat as a board. Now, they did create turnovers. They got 4 of those, and that was the good news. They've created 9 turnovers in 2 games. Nico Marley was responsible for 2. Yes, he is related to Bob Marley. So, Brian, obviously you create that many turnovers, you're supposed to win. They did not.
I'm glad you were able to identify Marley because I couldn't tell by that the uniform he had on.
Yeah, good luck with that.
But I mean, you know what? This is a game really that Curtis has got. The Tulane has got to win. They've got to beat South Al.
Torrance, this is a big, big negative. You cannot lose at home to a team that's been in Division I for 2 years, that had lost 7 straight games, 11 of 12, and had just lost to a lower level school a week ago.
No, you have to get those guys off the play every game. They can't start looking ahead, looking at the opponent they're playing against and kind of let up. And I think this is what this team does. He has to teach them to win and how to win.
Ricky, I know the team's immature and they're young, but this is on the coach, and we love Curtis. But they weren't ready to play. South Alabama comes out and scores 28 points right off the bat, puts you behind the 8 ball.
Well, the play that I was most disappointed in was the block punt. I mean, nobody blocked the guy. Let the guy block the punt, then let him get the ball and score a touchdown. That's enough right there to make you lose the ball game.
Yeah, the block punt did lose the game for them, Brian. There's no doubt. And they had a chance at the end with a touchdown here. Beautiful throw by Nick Montana, who played better than he did in week 1. But on the 2-point conversion, he had Grant open early right there, but he waited too long, and now it's too late. You've got to make that decision quickly. As soon as he comes out of his break, didn't do it, they don't continue to play, they don't win.
Ryan Grant, 14 catches.
Yeah, fantastic.
$187 and 2 touches. You know, this guy, and Lenny Van Gilder pointed this out to me, and I'm going to be watching him the rest of the season. He's top-flight NFL material at wide receiver.
He's a very good player. And Torrance, you look at a receiver that can get open, catch the ball when it hits his hands, and run by people. That's a guy that has a chance to play in the NFL, and I think he will.
Oh, yes. If you can catch the ball, like you said, we're talking about the guys at LSU, catch the ball with your hands and you can make plays. You make big plays regardless of who the talent is around you. Guys in the NFL will find you.
Well, the biggest thing here is Tulane can't run the football. Less than 50 yards rushing. Ricky, about 1.4 yards per rush. Their offensive line was the worst in the country last year. Unfortunately, things don't look much better this year. You've got to be able to run the football.
Well, you know, you got to be able to run the football. If you can't run the football, just, you know, spread them out. Run a no running back, put all receivers in there, just run the shotgun and pass all the ball if that's what you need to do. But whatever, you got to beat a team like that. A team that they played this weekend, they're supposed to have been a lot better than the team they're supposed to got to win.
Yeah, now a short week and they're on the road, Brian, at Louisiana Tech. That does not figure to be a win. That's tougher.
Yeah, they're on the road for the next 3 weeks, Kenny.
Right,
They've
right.
got ULM and then Syracuse after La Tech and then ULM. And you know what? You've got to win the games on the schedule that you circle W's
Absolutely.
when you look at it.
Right.
And this was one that they let get away.
No doubt. Any of those hopes of 6-6 and an R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl bid, they're still there, but they're fleeting after losing this game. Very disappointing. Now we focus on high school football and our Greater New Orleans Quarterback Club, sportsNOLA.com, WGSO 990 AM Prep Player of the Week for week number 1 of the high school football season. This guy's a beast. 6'5", 238 pounds, quarterback Donovan Isom of Destrehan. And against West Jefferson, 12 of 13, 268 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, and he rushed 3 times for 30 yards, and another touchdown as Destrehan took apart West Jeff 54-22. This kid's committed to Utah, and he's getting a lot of other attention already, Brian, and without a doubt, with those numbers, that kind of size, big arm, running ability, why not?
You know, the River Parishes just churns them out, doesn't they? I mean, you know, they just turn out top flight college players year in, year out.
Yes. Looking at this guy's size and all, it kind of reminds you of the quarterback down there with Florida State. Big guy, fast to run and throw the ball exceptionally well.
Well, Ricky, he's huge. He doesn't run like Cam Newton, but he certainly has the measurables of a guy like that. He can run, has a big arm, and throws the ball. And obviously, he committed early to Utah, and he says, I'm holding on to that. I'm loyal to them. But now the door's being knocked on quite a bit.
Well, I mean, you know, the Alabama, the LSU is going to come, the Georgia and Florida. You know, all those teams going to come now. And a guy go to one of those cities, look at the big city, he might not want to go to little Utah no more. So, that, you know, that's the key to it.
We'll see. And speaking of good high school football, we've got a terrific doubleheader going on in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. It's the All-State Sugar Bowl Prep Showcase this Friday night. And the matchups, Jesuit taking on St. Paul's in the opener at 6 p.m. Intriguing matchup. They don't play each other very often, so this is a rare occasion. Two programs that have great histories and will have very good fan support. And then a blockbuster. Two of the top 5 teams in America. St. Thomas Aquinas out of Florida with 6 Division I commitments already. And the John Curtis Christian Patriots, the defending national champions, off of a win over a good Bergen Catholic team out of New Jersey. That's a matchup that everybody in America is going to be watching, Ricky, when you have those kind of players. And you being from Florida, you know a little bit about St. Thomas Aquinas.
Yeah, I mean, that's the place where Chris Carter and all of them down there with all their kids and, you know, family members and stuff. So I'll be watching that game. I'll probably end up going to that game and hang on the sideline for a while. That's going to be a good game.
That's probably a good idea.
I thought you were going to buy us tickets.
No. Did you even say?
They're going to try to put a uniform on him, man. Come on,
I guess I'm
man.
going with you, 'cause I don't want to be in the
We'll
stand.
take a time out here. When we continue in just a moment, we'll take a look ahead at what's to come for the Saints and more on sportsNOLAtv, WHNO, Channel 20. Moe's Pizza at 1112 Avenue H in West Wego. That's where we're at this evening. It's where you need to be as well because it's the best pizza pie in town. Italians do it better. Moe's Pizza does it better than all. Call 504-341-9650. Thanks to Jeff Arshman and his crew for making us welcome, and they'll make you welcome too at Moe's Pizza. Check them out. You will enjoy. And Prep Recruiting Insider. Tuesday, 6 p.m., Renee Nato, Roe Brown taking care of business. It's Archbishop Shaw night with the Eagles and Coach Scott Bainsfather on PRI, exclusively here on WHNO Channel 20. And speaking of the Shaw theme, you got the former Eagle quarterback, John Forcade, the John Forcade Show, Thursday at 6 p.m. And John has Mike Detillier, great analyst. So you'll enjoy that as well with John. Check him out, part of our great sports block here on WHNO Channel 20. It's outstanding. The Saints have a date with the Buccaneers in Tampa Bay, Sunday at Tampa Bay. Okay, Brian, the Saints win this game and why?
They win the game because they're going to put Josh Freeman, they cannot score points. And I think they're going to go take care of business. I'd say it's a 10-point game.
Torrance?
Oh, I'm like my man here on the side, the Owen. I don't think the Bucs can score points, and I think they're going to have problems. If you can't score points, you can't beat the Saints.
Rick?
I think the same way. You know what I mean, you can't score points, you can't beat the Saints.
Tampa Bay will be a desperate team. They need to win. I expect they're going to play well. I think it will be competitive, but I like the Saints to win by 7 points. I simply think they're a better team. One concern, defensive line. Foster was out last week. Now you got injuries to Walker and Bunkley. Good group, by the way, but a lot of injuries to be concerned with going in, so we'll see what happens. Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure once again. Been great being at Moe's today and great being in your company.
Yes.
Always a pleasure.
usual.
Bless you, my friend.
All right.
Always good. And of course, we'll be back with you next week, 6 p.m. here on sportsNOLAtv. Don't miss it. We enjoy having you with us. We appreciate your support and appreciate everybody that made it possible here this evening. For Adam and Andrew and Lenny and the entire crew here at WHNO. Now, this is Ken Trahan saying thank you for joining us this evening and be a good sport. God bless you one and all. Rounding third and heading home. So long.